Inside the British Museum sits a 4,000-year-old cylinder seal, not art, but a legally binding signature device carved with what appears to be a step-by-step procedure for creating the first humans. A Mesopotamian text describes that scene in writing: specific ingredients, a sealed workspace, of 14 individuals produced in pairs. In 2023, a genetic study found human ancestry collapsed to just 1,280 individuals, and no one knows why. A cylinder seal is a tool built for precision and authority. Each one measures only 2 to 5 centimeters tall, carved from hard stone like greenstone, serpentine, or hematite. The surface is incised in negative relief, a technique called intaglio. When the seal is rolled over wet clay, it leaves a raised mirror image impression. This impression is not simply decorative. In ancient Mesopotamia, it served as a legally binding signature. Seals marked contracts, secured storerooms, and authenticated administrative tablets. The phrase "by the seal of" appears again and again on surviving documents, signaling that the impression carried the same weight as a written signature or an official stamp. Glyptic workshops produced these objects with a high degree of skill and standardization. Artisans drilled, shaped, and polished stone blanks before engraving the final design. The resulting seals were personal or institutional property, sometimes passed down through generations, sometimes associated with a specific office or function. Once pressed into clay, the seal's impression could not be altered without clear evidence of tampering. For thousands of years, this was the Mesopotamian guarantee of authorship and authenticity. Today, museums around the world hold thousands of these seals. The British Museum alone catalogs hundreds in its public records, each one a unique blend of art, authority, and administrative necessity. Cylinder seals are not mysterious relics. They are well understood legal devices embedded in the daily mechanics of ancient civilization. This is the context for interpreting any seal, including the one at the center of this investigation. ANE 891115 sits in the British Museum's collection under the accession number 89115, cataloged as the Atta seal. Carved from greenstone and measuring just under 4 centimeters tall, this cylinder seal was acquired from the ancient city of Sippar, a major administrative and religious center on the Euphrates. Its surface is densely packed with figures and symbols, each element chosen with precision. At the heart of the scene stands Enki, the god of water and wisdom, identified by the twin streams and fish that pour from his shoulders, a motif that signals his domain over the Abazu, the deep freshwater reservoir beneath the earth. Behind him, the two-faced attendant Usimu, or Isimud, keeps watch in both directions, a visual shorthand for divine insight and mediation. To the right, the winged goddess Ishtar holds a cluster of dates and bristles with weapons, blending fertility and war in a single gesture. Above and to the right, Shamash, the sun god, radiates beams of light and wields a serrated knife, cutting through a stylized mountain or horizon line. Some catalogs read this ridge as a temple facade, others as the literal horizon split by the rising sun. The arrangement is deliberate, a tableau of divine hierarchy and a cosmic order rendered in miniature. Every motif on the seal draws from a known Mesopotamian iconographic language, not random invention. The presence of water, fish, and the two-faced vizier ties this seal to a broader tradition of Enki's creative power and the mythic wellspring of life. The Atta seal's impression, when rolled out, would have served as both an administrative signature and a visual statement of divine legitimacy, linking the authority of its owner to the gods themselves. The Atrahasis epic sets out a method for making humans that reads less like myth and more like a recipe. The story begins with the Igigi gods, exhausted by endless labor, forcing the elder gods to find a solution. Enki, the god of wisdom, proposes a plan: mix clay with a mysterious element taken from the body of a slain god. The term for this element, Tima, has sparked debate for decades. Some scholars translate it as life breath or destiny, but Thorkild Jacobsen, one of the most respected voices in Assyriology, argued that Tima means an inheritable physical characteristic, a component of genetic essence. According to Jacobsen, this detail turns the creation of humans into an engineered act, not just a symbolic gesture. The process is described step by step. The gods gather at a designated workspace, combine clay with Tima, and form 7 pairs of men and 7 pairs of women. This is not the language of spontaneous magic. It is the language of procedure, ingredients, and intention. The creation scene in Atrahasis stands apart from later, more abstract origin stories. Here, the motive is clear, the steps are spelled out, and the outcome is a workforce designed to carry out the burdens of the divine. The Abiziu is described in ancient texts as more than a mythic abyss. Temple hymns and ritual instructions point to a defined space, a zone bounded by walls, entered through guarded gates, and organized for purposeful activity. Archaeological reconstructions and digital models imagine the Abzu as a vast subterranean hall beneath Eridu, with chambers for water storage and ritual practice. Within this controlled environment, the Atrahasis narrative places Enki at the center of operations, supervising the mixing of clay and Tima. The text is precise about the output: 7 pairs of men and 7 pairs of women, a total of 14 original humans. This is not a flood of new life, but a measured batch produced in a single episode. The number is repeated in Tablet 2, lines 38 to 45, anchoring the story in a logic of deliberate limitation. The creation scene unfolds not in open chaos, but within the regulated boundaries of the Abzu, a workshop with defined walls, guarded entry, and a finite product. These details are not background color. They set the scale for what follows, establishing a concrete setting and a specific small population that will become the founding stock for all later humanity. In 2023, a team of geneticists published results that shook the foundations of human prehistory using a method called FITCOL, short for Fast Infinitesimal Time Coalescent. They analyzed whole genome data from over 3,000 people representing populations around the world. The technique slices deep time into fine intervals, allowing unprecedented resolution of ancient demographic events. What emerged was startling. About 900,000 years ago, the effective breeding population of our ancestors plummeted to around 1,280 individuals. This bottleneck did not last a generation or two. It held for roughly 117,000 years. During this period, genetic diversity crashed, with nearly 70% of all prior variation lost. The cause remains unknown. No single volcanic eruption, climate shift, or migration explains the scale and duration of the decline. The FITCOL team cross-checked their findings with alternative models and data sets, but the bottleneck signal persisted. The numbers are precise: a population squeeze from which all modern humans descend, isolated for longer than the entire span of recorded civilization. The event stands as a sharp, measurable break in the human story, distinct from myth or legend, and yet its trigger is still a mystery. Set side by side, the Sumerian creation myth and the 2023 genetic bottleneck study reveal a striking match in structure. Each describes a sharp, sudden narrowing in human origins, a small group isolated from which everything else unfolds. Atrahasis speaks of 14, 7 men and 7 women, shaped in a single act within the Abzu. The genetic study points to about 1,280 breeding individuals, isolated for more than 100,000 years. Both accounts capture a moment of rupture, a measured restart, a break in the line. Yet the similarities stop there. The Sumerian account belongs to the mythic past, written in the early 2nd millennium BCE. The genetic bottleneck sits almost a million years earlier, deep in the Pleistocene, before cities or writing. Their mechanisms diverge even more sharply. Atrahasis describes a crafted event, clay, ritual, intention. The genetic record shows a natural disaster, a collapse with no known cause or guiding hand. Neither record explains the other. One is myth, the other is science. Still, both point to a shared discontinuity in the human story, a break, not a slow drift, challenging the boundaries of conventional history. Today, mainstream narratives still sidestep the jagged edge where archaeology and genetics converge. The cylinder seal remains a legal signature of intent, the Atrahasis, a procedural record, and the Fitcol bottleneck, a scientific rupture in our lineage. The break is real, the meaning is still contested. Subscribe for more unfiltered investigations.